I don't know what you think about revenge. I always used to believe that revenge is a sign of weakness, that strong people forgive while weak people seek revenge. I believed that with all my heart for my entire life. I forgave. I turned a blind eye. I pretended nothing was happening. I let other people trample my boundaries because I was terrified of seeming angry, vindictive, or unworthy. I was afraid that if I said no, people would stop loving me. So I endured. For years. For decades. I endured silently, quietly, unnoticed by everyone except myself. I endured until a mountain of pain accumulated inside me, pressing down on my chest, my lungs, my heart. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't sleep. I couldn't look in the mirror without feeling disgust for myself for allowing others to control me. And one day, I realized that if I kept forgiving, I would die, not physically, but spiritually. I would turn into a shadow of a person, an empty shell that could only nod and smile while everything inside screamed in agony. That day, I decided I would no longer forgive. I decided I had the right to justice, and I found a way to reclaim my freedom. Not through shouting, not through scandal, not through physical confrontation, but through a quiet, cold, merciless revenge that no one would ever know about. A revenge that didn't require my presence. A revenge that worked through the law, through facts, through the system. I didn't lay a finger on anyone. I didn't break a single law. I just sent a letter. One single letter that destroyed the life of the woman who had been destroying mine. And I don't regret it. Not one bit. My name is Emily. I am 52 years old. I live in a small coastal town in Oregon, where it's quiet, peaceful, and smells of the sea. Here I found peace after years of hell. But that peace came at a high price. I lost 10 years of my life trying to please someone who never intended to accept me. I lost a husband who couldn't protect me. I lost myself because I spent too long being someone else. It was only when I realized I had nothing left to lose that I began to act. I started building a plan to reclaim everything that had been stolen from me. Slowly at first, then faster. Step by step. I grew up in a family where money was never the priority. My parents were teachers. We had a small house, an old car, and every evening we had dinner together around the same table. We weren't rich, but we were happy. My father loved to say, "Emily, the most important thing in life is family. Money comes and goes, but love stays forever." I believed him. I married a man I loved, not his wallet. And I thought my mother-in-law would love me too, because I loved her son. I was wrong. I met Mark when I was 25. He worked as an engineer at a construction company, tall, strong, and kind. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party. He came up to me, smiled, and said, "You are the most beautiful woman in this room." I blushed. He asked me out and we started dating. A year later, he proposed. I said yes. I was happy. I thought my life was beginning anew. I thought I had finally found the family I had always wanted. But along with my husband, I got his mother. And she became my personal nightmare. My mother-in-law, Margaret, was a woman in her 60s with a sharp gaze and a cold smile. She lived in a large house on the outskirts of town, left to her by her late husband. She didn't work, but she lived extravagantly. She went to resorts every year, bought expensive things, drove a new car. I thought she had simply managed her money well. I didn't know that for years she had been cheating the tax authorities, hiding rental income and gifts. I didn't know she was stealing from the state and then spending that money on her whims. I found out much later. Too late. But when I did, I realized it was my chance. A chance for justice. A chance to reclaim what she had taken from me. In the early years of my marriage, I tried to build a relationship with her. I brought her flowers, helped with cleaning, invited her to dinners. She accepted everything but never thanked me. She looked at me as if I were a servant. She criticized my cooking, my clothes, my job. "Emily, you look tired. Don't you know how to rest? Mark, why does your wife work instead of staying home? A good wife should be at home." I gritted my teeth and smiled. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want Mark to choose between me and his mother. I didn't want to be the cause of their rift. I thought that if I was patient enough, she would change. But she didn't change. She only got worse. She started criticizing me in front of others. Friends, relatives, even my daughter. I stayed silent. I swallowed the insults. I buried my tears in my pillow when no one was watching. Mark noticed everything, but he did nothing. He would say, "Mom is just old and tired. She didn't mean to hurt you. Just don't pay attention." I tried not to pay attention. I tried to convince myself she wasn't that bad. I looked for the good in her, but I couldn't find it. Because his mother didn't want me to find anything good in her. She wanted me to feel worthless. She wanted me to know my place. She wanted me to leave. And when I discovered she was hiding income from the tax authorities, I realized I could use that. I could turn her greed against her. I could strike a blow she couldn't deflect. A blow that required no anger, no shouting, no forgiveness. A blow that worked through the law, through facts, through the system that protects honest people and punishes fraudsters. I decided I would be her punishment. But I would do it quietly so no one would ever know who was truly behind her downfall. I would become a ghost who destroyed her life, and she would never find out who did it. I started gathering information. It wasn't easy. I didn't have access to her bank accounts or tax returns, but I had access to her house. I visited often when she was out for meetings. I would go into her study, where she kept her documents. I found her old tax returns, bank statements, rental contracts. I photographed every page. I took pictures with my phone, saved them to a flash drive, and hid them in a secure place. I did this slowly, cautiously, but persistently. After several months, I had collected enough evidence to destroy her. Proof that she had evaded taxes for 10 years, that she had hidden rental income, received benefits she wasn't entitled to, and spent money as if it belonged only to her. I knew the tax authorities didn't forgive such things. I knew she faced a huge fine and possibly criminal prosecution. And I knew I would be the one to push her into that abyss. Not with anger, not with hatred, but with the simple sense that it was the right thing to do. The only way to protect myself and my daughter from her poison. I wrote an anonymous letter. I didn't sign my name. I simply sent all the evidence to the tax authorities. I included a brief cover letter explaining that I had become aware of this person's financial fraud and that I wanted them to investigate. I sent it by registered mail with return receipt. 2 weeks later, I received confirmation that the letter had been received. And I waited. I waited for the audit to begin. I waited for her to learn that her life was falling apart. I waited for her to realize that her greed, her lies, her cunning would not go unpunished. I didn't know how long it would take, but I was prepared to wait as long as necessary. For justice, I was ready to wait forever. During those weeks, I lived on edge. Every time the phone rang, my heart clenched. Every time the door opened, I thought the police had come. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. I worried that my letter would be ignored, that my mother-in-law would find out about it, and about me. But I kept waiting. I repeated to myself that I had done the right thing, that I was defending myself, that I deserved justice. And I waited for karma to do its work, for the truth to prevail, for her to fall. And one fine day it happened. He had been working for me for 3 months. 3 months I looked at his face, which once was the most precious thing to me. 3 months I listened to his voice, which once whispered words of love to me. 3 months I breathed the same air as the man who shattered my heart into 1,000 pieces. And I felt nothing, no anger, no pain, no desire for revenge. I felt only coldness. The coldness I had created myself. The coldness that protected me from him. I didn't allow myself to see him as a person. He was just an employee, a function, a part of my mechanism. And I treated him accordingly. Every morning he brought me coffee. I didn't thank him. I just nodded and said, "Put it on the table." Every day he cleaned my studio after shoots. I never said thank you. I just gave new instructions. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. we have a meeting with partners. Prepare the room. Make sure there are enough chairs. Offer them coffee. I don't want them to wait. He did all this in silence. He never complained. He needed the money, I knew that. I knew he was unemployed, in debt, that he had lost his apartment. I knew he was desperately trying to hold onto this job. And I used his desperation as a tool, not to torment him but to test myself. To see if I could be as cold as he had been with me. He started to suspect after a month. I noticed the way he looked at me. First with confusion, then with suspicion. He saw my profile and his face would tense up. He tried to remember where he had seen me before. He couldn't, because I had changed. I had become confident, successful, untouchable. I was no longer that naive girl who cried at night because of him. I was different. I was strong. And that confused him. One day he asked me, "Are you from Chicago? You have a familiar face." I looked at him and coldly replied, "I don't like to discuss my personal life. We have work to do." He apologized and never asked again. But I could see he kept searching for answers. He tried to get closer to me. He brought me not only coffee but small gifts. Cookies from the cafe, chocolate from the store. He tried to talk about something other than work. "You look nice today," he said once. I answered, "I always look nice, but that's not relevant to our work. Focus on your tasks." He fell silent. I could see the pain on his face. He felt my coldness. He didn't understand why I was like this, but he was afraid to ask. He was afraid of losing his job. He was afraid of ending up on the street without money. And I used his fear not for revenge but for control, to make him feel the way I once felt. Helpless, dependent, broken. But he didn't give up. He kept trying. One evening after work, he came up to me and said, "I know you don't like me. I don't know what I did wrong. But I want to apologize if I hurt you. I need this job. I don't want to lose it." I looked at him. His eyes were honest, almost pleading. He truly didn't understand who I was. He thought I was just a strict boss. He didn't know that I was the woman he had called worthless. And I decided it was time to tell him the truth. Not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. So he would understand why I was so cold. So he would see the consequences of his words. I said, "Sit down." He sat. I sat across from him. I paused, looking at him, remembering that day when he stood at the door and told me I was worthless. I remembered the pain that tore me apart. I remembered the nights I lay in bed unable to sleep because his words echoed in my head. I remembered how I almost gave up. Almost. But I didn't. I survived. And now I sat across from him and I was strong. "You don't know me," I said. "You think I'm just a successful blogger. But I am the woman you called worthless. I am the one you left because I wasn't good enough. I am the one who cried at night because of you. I am the one who almost left this life because you told me I was worth nothing. But I survived. I built my life. I became successful. And now you work for me. You bring me coffee. You clean my studio. You do as I say. And you didn't even recognize me. You were so busy with your own life that you didn't notice your ex-girlfriend had become your boss." His face went pale. He opened his mouth but couldn't make a sound. I could see fear and shame mixing in his eyes. He tried to say something. "Emily, I didn't know. I didn't want." I cut him off. "You didn't know. You didn't want. You never wanted to know. You were always blind. You didn't see me when I was with you. You didn't see my pain. You didn't see my strength. You only saw yourself. And now you're here. You work for me. You depend on me, the way I once depended on you. But I won't take revenge on you. I won't humiliate you. I just want you to know you were wrong. I am not worthless. I am strong. And I succeeded without you. In spite of you. Because of you." He sat there in silence. I saw tears streaming down his face. I felt no pity, no gloating, only emptiness. The emptiness after speaking the truth. I said, "You can leave. Today. I'm not firing you. I'm just giving you a choice. Stay and continue working, or leave and start your life over. But if you stay, you need to know, I won't pity you. I'll treat you like any other employee. Without warmth, without friendship, without a past. You'll just be part of my mechanism. If you're ready for that, stay. If not, leave. The decision is yours." He stood up. He looked at me with pain and shame. I could see him struggling with himself. He wanted to say something but couldn't. Finally, he whispered, "I'll stay. I have nowhere to go. I have no money, no job. I can't afford to leave." I nodded. "Good. Then tomorrow at 9 a.m. don't be late." He walked out. I was alone. I sat in the silence and stared out the window. It was raining outside. I remembered that night when he left. The same weather. Then, cold. Emptiness. I thought I was broken. But I survived. I rose. I became stronger. And now I could afford to be cold. Not because I was angry, but because I was protecting myself. Protecting my heart from the one who once broke it. 2 more months passed. He worked for me. He didn't try to get closer. He performed his duties and stayed silent. Sometimes I caught him looking at me with longing. I never returned his gaze. I just kept working. I didn't forgive him. I didn't want to forgive. But I stopped hating him. I just accepted him as a fact, as a part of my life that once mattered but had become just a page I had turned. One day he quit. He didn't tell me why. He just left a letter on my desk. It read, "Emily, I'm leaving. I realized I can't be near you every day without feeling guilty. You were right. I was blind. I didn't see you. I didn't appreciate you. I didn't deserve you. Thank you for giving me a second chance, not as an ex-girlfriend, but as a boss. You showed me I could be more than I thought. But I can't stay here. It hurts too much to see you. I'm moving to another city. I'm starting over. I hope you find happiness. You deserve it. I read the letter and put it in my drawer. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just kept working. Because I knew he had finally understood. He understood that his words had consequences. He understood that I had become stronger. He understood that he had been wrong. And that was all I needed. I don't know where he is now. I never looked for him. I didn't want to know. I continued my life. I made videos, wrote books, spoke at conferences. I became even more successful. I found new love. A man who respects me, values me, believes in me. I am happy, and I am grateful for everything that happened, even the pain, because it made me strong. If you've been through betrayal, don't lose hope. Pain can become your fuel. Use it. Turn it into strength. Become the best version of yourself, not to get revenge, but to live. To live so fully that your ex will never forget what they lost. I did it. I became stronger, and I have no regrets. Subscribe to the channel if you too believe that every person can become strong after betrayal. Share in the comments how you coped with pain. It would mean a lot to know I'm not alone. Hit like if my story resonated with you. And remember, you are stronger than you think. Even when you feel broken, you can rise again. That was my path. Could be yours too. Bye for now.